Well, it's the last recording I'm going to do because it's Boxing Day, in this stupid way. Right, about 150 car time walking out, choked by catalyst, mostly sick, grey, white sick, grey sick, black and blue fucking sick, whatever. Knife shaped, gun shaped. Loads of people in my direction. Drain covers fucking hammered over. Get around the next section where Farm Foods is. Load of people, couple of people photographed me or look like they're photographing me, no threats. Drain covers hit over again. Reach this bit, choked by catalytic converter. Two rough people my way, no problems. And then we reach here. I've been forced to cross over black and blue sick, black and blue sick, black and blue collide. Red white collide. Sick white collide, and then this car. Right, we've hit about 50 cars roughly, so I've got to take my normal route. We're back to normal with the traffic, even though it's Boxing Day. Right, between 3 PM and 4 PM, 5 PM nearly, Matty has been banging, shouting aggressively, which is the neighbour, to say that he's going to inject me with HIV when he takes me out in a vicious fight, and he says, yeah, I'll go down for him and I'll take him out with a fucking knife. Saying he's a fucking child rapist. Raped Grace Waterman when I've never had sex with Grace Waterman. Banging in a way to say you molested Sadie Dando. Saying you're having your fucking teeth knocked in. I'm bringing up stuff as well that's not even related to my old place where I used to live, but the place before that. And it's at least 12 years ago that I lived there. And then the threat goes back even further than that to about roughly 18 years ago. Or somewhere around there. It's the Bomb Hinkley Point graffiti, which is a power station. Which, it goes to that. There's a story behind that, but the stories, I can't put the story, explain the story, because it's sick. It's bad, it's negative, and it occurred at a very bad time. And I was attacked as well in that time period, just before I wrote that. However, I've been in trouble with the police for that, and they warned me not to do it again. Told me, out of anything you could fucking put, don't put that, because they're more concerned about the safety of my life rather than anything else. At the time, it was sexuality that caused it. The reason why I did it. In actual fact, sexuality has been the cause of most problems that I fucking retaliated to in my life, but I hardly retaliate to many problems. I just state it down in my life story pack and then eventually put it to a USB stick and post it to governments around the world. But yeah, anyway, he's going on like that, threatening to break in, saying you're being fucking shot dead. And now he's actually saying that you're being fucking shot dead and sexually abused as a child in your next life. Fuck you, you're a fucking sick cunt. Haha, you're being raped as a child in your next life when you're fucked about with as a baby. Oh yeah, it's all getting nasty now. But it does this time of year. It did last year, from Boxing Day onwards. So, just thought I'd let you know. Christmas Eve at 9:30, there was roughly 7 to 9 cars in one direction on that road. One car when I was walking back. Yesterday, roughly 90 cars. One direction, and I think there's about 10, 15 going back. Today, we're back to the normal flow. I've slept in dog shit. I'm not very happy about it. The government have just slammed a whole load of fucking nasty setups at the catalytic fucking converter hot point, as I call it, while walking towards Barrack, taking the usual route, because this is the last time I'm going to be able to do this at this time of night, because it's getting busy. I've already had to go to the alternative way, as I was mentioning. Where when I reach the road, firstly there's a family coming up the path. There's a stepping up van that I see just before I get to that path, you know, passing from a light shade, shadow from the light, shows the name up on the van. And then there's an action man, so that's saying that they're stepping up all this action. Tip of the iceberg van follows. As I pass this family, there's a couple of people behind. One person's wearing a Happy New Year top, jumper, t-shirt, well, jumper type thing, not t-shirt, jumper I mean. Then we have that gunpoint van, the same van that they had at Bridgewater near Angel Place, the one I photographed in my Deep Depression life story pack in the 2006 to 2008 area. Take into account, this is before I even get to fucking cross the road. Then I'm choked by catalytic converter stench. Once I cross that road, after a black and blue car, followed by that and a white sexual car, there's another person that walks past, trying to sneeze in my face. As I come down this path that I'm walking down now, roughly about 1 minute later, someone else passes me, which is an old lady walking a dog, trying to sneeze in my face. But I had a little bit of a sleep earlier, because some days I have a sleep, quite often, a daytime sleep, mostly because of drowsiness and tiredness from drinking of the alcohol. If I was to stop my drinking, I wouldn't have this problem. I'd be beat up all day. But I'm not going to stop my drinking for the rest of my life. I did say once, if I get a sex partner, someone I can actually fancy, someone I fancy, love, I would stop it. But you're not going to get anyone sexy at this age. They don't even have sexy bodies anymore. You don't even have basic attraction now. You don't even have, like, dry skin attraction at my age with smooth bodies. All you got now is rough skin bodies. Rough skin flaking off sort of bodies. I'm not into that sort of attraction. But there's nothing I can do about it. I'm 43 years of age. There's only negative attraction left. I don't take to negative attraction. This is what I'm saying. I've been sexually fucking slaughtered. Christ has hanged me. Christ has raped me as a child through perverts that sexually abused me. He's left me for dead, ready to be sexually abused in my next life. The bastard's cruel. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm not going to get anyone. They won't allow the age gap. Prostitutes don't give sex. People won't make friendship with people unless they know them. They won't go with anyone they don't know in their smartphones. You've got to know them in their smartphones. There's no one in my family that can help me. There's no one at all. Everyone in my family above the age of 18 are in relationships and single mothers and sexual or whatever. Well, I'm not saying family as such, but even, I mean, if you go further down in relatives or whatever, it's too late to do anything. I've been sexually slaughtered. Nobody can help, nobody can do nothing. All they can do is stab a knife in your back and say, get a taste of your own medication, see if that'll help you, or therapy, which is anything that's not sex, basically. So there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing I can do. I've been fucking sexually slaughtered. Unless one of God's people that's a younger age can help me out, then there's nothing I can do. And that's not possible. And the reason for that is because you're known as a sicko if there's more than 3 years difference in age nowadays. They fucked my life up, and partly because of the government. It's not like it was, say, 50 years ago, like Sid James, celebrity, and Barbara Windsor. I mean, she was, 16, and he was in his 50s, possibly 60s, I'm not sure. But we're in a different time. There's nothing you can do about it. And this is not just a UK problem. They're like it in America as well. They push it. They don't think they're an adult until they're 30 or 40 now. And there's nothing you can do about it. And it was 25, and even that was bad. And when I was younger, like 10 years ago, they were moaning about my age. There's nothing you can do about it. And if we go back about 25 years ago, when I very first started trying to find somebody, it's all moaning, saying I'm a sexual type person. I'm only going with someone that's a druggie or someone that's hard looking or anything like that. If they were hot, sexy type people, it's too late. All these girls that have rapture dreams on YouTube, it's too late. They got me down as a sicko, put you down as a spastic, see you as a sick piece of shit, insult you like a pig's shit. There's nothing you can do about it. God's Satan against me. I just got to accept that Jesus Christ got his feelings out, making me feel like fucking wet jelly on the floor, suffering in need of sex of the person that's raping me, because I'm not going to get nothing. That's the best it fucking gets. And we have a clairvoyant. When I had a clairvoyant reading, going back, it must be 15 plus years ago. No, it's more than that. A lot more than that now, innit? Fuck's sake, I don't know when it was, but a past life clairvoyant told me that in my last life I was a woman that was working in a laboratory, and I was a sexual type woman, and all I had was being sexually abused. Well, the same's happened in this life, hasn't it? And then obviously when I'm born again, I'm going to be raped as a child in my next life, and possibly before I reach the age of where I can have sex, I'll probably be bitten by a cobra or a deadly snake or a spider or whatever to stop me getting sex, and then obviously, or could be even beaten to death or set alight, something like that. Never good news, is it? Always negative. Really fucking negative. So you've got to take into account, you've got all the other problems as well, like all the people that are mistaking me as Savan and Liam and being told I'm a rapist, or even the threats I had under Jungle Justin, which was a nickname I had in Willavington many years ago, where people made shit up on sexuality. All this as well, all these child molester and rapist threats. I've ended up in threats or near enough being attacked and near enough being shot. I've actually had guns being fired at me in the past. Not very frequently, only a couple of times, but yeah, it gets as nasty as this, and I've had a bottle smashed across my head before and been thrown in the canal and whatever. There's nothing you can do about it. And the threats you get are getting nastier and nastier as the years go on. And the next problem is too late. They've sacrificed me, they've cut my throat and wrists, which is the wrong person to do it with, because my name's Justin Time, Justin Langford. And living up to my name, Time. Made the biggest mistake in living history, Christ. Fucking about with time. But, you know, that's what the mistake he's made. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm outnumbered as a sick bastard, even though I've never had sex with children, or never raped children, or women, or whatever. But it's too late, you know. You're outnumbered. You go with the lies. You have to go with the lies. And even the creators believe in the lies and thinks that I've been with Stephanie, Sadie and Ian and Amy Weston or whatever. Nothing I can do about it. The creator's fucking crooked and goes with all the lies, bouncing on the energy of enemies, because you can't see the truth, because there's uncontrollable atoms that are moving about in the universe which are going in a screwed up pattern, which they have the technology to cause the creator to lie. Right, so let's talk about what my worst this Christmas would have been. The years 2006, 7, 8, 9 and 10 were really bad. I think it's 2011 onwards. I was either staying at my dad's or walking the canal in the early hours, which is Bridgewater North Newton to Bridgewater Canal in the other direction and whatever else. Now that canal was hardly ever any trouble down there. There was people that started on me at times, and it could get quite aggressive and quite nasty with my nickname Jungle Justin. In actual fact, in 2008 I saw a man roughly 50 who's a hard, rough type person, not the sort you want to fucking fuck about with, actually fucking a girl aged about 11, and that girl aged about 11 was telling me to fucking get the look away with a fucking, well, yeah, end up fucking beating up and started throwing stuff at me like sticks and stones from the area of where they were fucking. But you know, they were doing it quite literally in the middle of near a path where people were walking down it, except it was carnival night where you didn't have many people go down there. There are many people that have had sex with children that have occurred in my direction, and yet I'm the one that's always had the blame and always been targeted as a sick bastard or whatever. Well, I'm not very happy with any of what's been going on in my life, and I'm going to hold this. I'm Justin Time, I'm the wristwatch, and I'm going to put it across Jesus Christ's wrist, because I am not letting this fucking go. All these problems I've had in my life, not when you fucking sacrifice someone to a point where it's too late to even have anything at all. That's the problem, and this is making me feel fucking lower and making me nasty, and much nastier when threats occur now. As you might have noticed on the videos, that I'm getting a lot shoutier and nastier. But this is because I've been sexually hanged and it's too late to do anything, and I'm not letting it go. And as the days go, get on, the worse it gets, the nastier I'll get. And one day, if I end up in trouble or end up in jail, we're going to be using the sickest fucking grounds ever to explain. I'm not going to fucking stand for it. But, you know, I've had enough of it. You know, I've had break-ins, I've had all my music go, I've had my stuff stored in a garage type place, I've had a break-in there, that's all gone. I've had boxes I've left behind when I was moving, or they stopped the discs that I used to buy, recording discs, where Matty was doing a load of banging. Literally all those discs that I didn't know went up in price, and I literally chucked away £1,400 in discs at the beginning of last year when I was trying to record some audio discs of old school jungle tracks and dark ambient tracks at that time. The dark ambient tracks that I did have on CD, when I was pissed, I took the wrong box of rubbish out, thinking that is the rubbish bag, and I put it in the skip, and I didn't realise it, and chucked away all my Cryo Chamber CDs. So it's all been bad, because what happened was I was going to either visit Dad or thinking of visiting Dad, so I had two rubbish bags and I took the wrong one out and I didn't realise it, and then I was filling up the other bag thinking it's the right bag, and it was the right bag, but it's I was confused, and obviously I was drinking because I was on the spirits because my life was so bad at the time. Then we come to July, where 20 USB sticks or 18 USB sticks containing all my music, underground jungle tracks, vinyl rips, the ones that were rescued, wasn't many rescued because I lost a lot of those due to many issues at my old place. They're all lost because Helen accidentally this is one of the staff workers, Helen Lewis is just a person that works at Thorn House, who's the deputy manager, was she went to open all the windows and she thought she turned the heating off in my room, and my records were laying against the radiator, so all the old school jungle tracks, sort of, yeah, the Liam Gwange, Too Deep, Legendary Volume 3, Pesce World of Music, Rev P 1994, The Anthill Mob 123, Adrian Blunt remix, Nut E1 off the Nut EP with Underwater Fireworks and Liquid Affray, Bare Necessities label, in mint condition, by the way, the original press. And then obviously you had a couple of other tracks like Intense, Paradox, which is Rugged Vinyl Records, Intense, Time Space Continuum, Genesis Project EP, bloody hell, and what else? The Alliance First Impressions on Enforcer 6, Reinforce Records, and there's quite a few others that are just laying against the radiator. But when I went out and came back, she accidentally turned the heating up. And when I came back, because I left it too late, all the records were warped and I had to chuck them all. Now obviously Helen knows I wasn't very happy with her, but you know, it was accidental. She turned the heating on and it cost me to lose hundreds of pounds of records at that time. So I literally have nothing. I have nothing now. There's a few records, a few CDs that I had left before I gave them to Mark, a neighbour, and I just grabbed the tracks that I could possibly rescue of the jungle tracks that I really like. I ended up saving 36 jungle tracks and called it an album, Mystical Selection of Music, and I put a few Cryo Chamber tracks that I also managed to rescue from a couple of Cryo Chamber CDs I bought back, and the couple that weren't in the same place as where the ones I chucked out accidentally were occurred. So I literally have nothing now. So this is why you probably understand why I'm losing my temper. The Music Electronica series, I don't even have a proper copy of that anymore. I've got everything on hard drive, but actually on disc, I hardly have anything on disc. And the problem is, I always moan about hard drives and USB sticks over time losing quality. Anyway, going back to the July issue with those USB sticks, to start with, they cost me a section of my life story pack, so there was a bit of a deep depression issue, so I lost some stories on my life story, deep depression, a couple of folders of that, so I don't know what time period that is, but you know, it could be critical time periods where I was accused of stuff or whatever, but there's nothing you can do if you lose it. And I have lost those deep depression life story packs, which is known as my life story pack, which is photographic evidence of problems, statements, the rare video recordings, statements of threats, all the stuff that I put on WordPad, all the stuff that I used to put on Facebook. Though a lot of the stuff that I put on Facebook was usually never stated. I used to forget to state it all, and there's quite a lot of problems that were missing from what I had to state, you know, as problems on my WordPad. Then obviously the sheet that I write problems down, you know, registration plate numbers, you know, the threats of people wanting to knife me, bash me in, smash my fucking head off, bash all my teeth in, to inject me with whatever, to kill me off, to shoot me fucking dead, to mistake me as Liam Savan, to call me a child rapist, sexuality, saying I'm a sick cunt if I don't fancy a granny, or shingles attraction, or Gizmo Lisa, or Lisa Pike, or whatever you want to call it. They just dig and dig like that, but it can be really aggressive now. It's not like it used to be. The threats are coming back, and there's a lot of shouting and threats going back to 2008. Between 2001 to 2008 it was very, very bad, and I was even, but there was a new stage. It started again, but the accent's more dry and sarcastic, but it's not as intense. It's hard to explain, but you've got to take into account I'm less tolerable to it when it comes to sexuality. I seem to be mistaken as Savan. It's hard to say which was worse, back then or now. I still say back then was nastier than what it is now, but it depends. It could go either way. It depends. I don't know. It depends what's going to start and what's going to happen. So anyway, that's the July USB stick. It caused me to lose some Jungle Techno CDs that I saved on there. Though I didn't really have many on there. I think it's just 5 and 8 I had on the actual USB stick, because I had it separate. But even that's lost. And then obviously live recording like Dance Transmission Control, the second of the fourth 1994 mix. Dance Trans Top Buzz, one of my favourites, the one that starts with Q Project Champion sound, into Jim Polo the Night Rider, and Cloud9 the Dreamer, and then Tom and Jerry yamming snacks like Shaggy, which is a 4-hero record on Reinforce Records. When the track listing was like that, and then obviously on B-side you had Can I Dream, original substitute, followed by Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, Drowning in Her, which goes on drowning in her. And it sounds like it sounds like it's saying, I'm trying to ring him up. Anyway, I'm not sure what event that tape is. I think it's Sound of the Summer. Dance Trance, the Sound of the Summer, July 1993. But whatever it is, I've lost that music. I've lost Dreamscape 8, the Groove Rider Godfather mix. And the Alliance First Impressions is one of my favourite tracks on there. In fact, it is. To keep clarify that, because I never got confused what I was saying then. So yeah, there's been a lot of issues. I lost a lot of music through time. The Freaky abandoned me. I've lost that track. I had to re-download Dillinger Chapter 20 V recordings, Chapter 19, sorry. It wasn't known as Trinity Chapter 20 on the vinyl. I didn't have the vinyl, but that's what it was known as. So yeah, there's lots and lots of music that I've used to have. Like I said, I've managed to save 36 tracks, and I managed to actually put them to a couple of discs. But that is it. The rest is on hard drive. So yeah, that's the July issue. So I lost my temper in July. Then we had all the frets increase. I went for this camping trip in early September. And when I did so, because I had an appointment, the amount of Cevennes frets I had in that camping trip, it did roughly, I think it was about 6 days I camped at Barrow Beach in total. But the first couple of days, I was risking my tent getting found, and obviously people were starting on me left, right and centre. Almost each and every single person, in fact, that I passed were mistaking me as Cevennes, getting nasty with me here and there. Some quite nasty. Going to the shop where I used to go to Co-op, it was nastier than it's ever been before. I mean, before I moved from Burnham-on-Sea and used to go to that Co-op shop, I was never really getting any problems in there. But since I went back this time, it's been really nasty. One person was filming me and photographing me, and he gets on the phone saying I'm a child rapist, and then everybody come around surrounding me. Then one person walks in past me with a Snake t-shirt holding a plastic glove on his hand, who looks very similar to my ex-mugger Dan Morgan, if it's not Dan Morgan. Then you have people filming me, photographing me. Then someone's car that same evening got smashed up because they thought it was Cevennes' car, and they thought I'm Cevennes and thought I was a driver when I don't drive. So that's the start of things, and that was on the 5th of September, because I or was it the 4th? No, I can't remember now. Anyway, in total, I went into the Asda's. In Asda's, I was in there for literally 10 minutes, and I had about 100 threats being mistaken as Cevennes, and people were starting on me in the Asda. Literally 10-20 minutes I was in there, just waiting for the appointment I had to go to that. So yeah, that's not good. And that's just one section of the day before you calculate all the other fucking threats. Then obviously at Kingscliff I was camping. I think I did 4 nights in total there. I can't remember the exact amount. It was not really that many nights that I did, because I had to go back camping, you see, because we were in the middle of a heat wave and it's 34 degrees in my room at night. I couldn't take the temperature, it was just too hot. It's making me feel ill. Then you had people kicking off as well, so it was not good. The BMX track, you sort of had a load of youngsters up to around about the age of 40. I wouldn't say they're my age, just under the highest age, so there might have been someone older than me, but it's very unlikely. None of them give me any threats, believe it or not. Just a couple there for what is Cevennes. Sort of went off. It just died off. The threat died off. But the police were up there one night. When I came back from a walk to go back to my tent, there's people were having arguments because they wanted to kill Cevennes, and there was an ambulance as well near Kingscliff where I was camping. So I spoke to the police, because the police wanted to speak to me and asked for details, my name and what I'm doing. So I said I'm camping. I said it's too hot to stay, and I sort of said, and initially they said you can't camp, they said you're not supposed to camp, but due to the situation and what you're saying, they're making I was talking a little bit before he said this, but he says, well, you chose a nice spot, you're away from people, you're away from children, so we're not too bothered about it, but just make sure if anyone says you have to get off, you have to get off. and saying that as far as we're concerned, we're not happy about it, we don't like you doing this, we don't like anyone wild camping, but as long as you're not causing any trouble, and as long as they're happy with you being there, they're going to leave it at that on this occasion. So they left it at that. On the last day that I walked back, there was about 15 minutes of cloud that I was enjoying in the woodland. That was it. Rain mixed with cloud. Because it's mostly sunny when I was there. All the days were sunny apart from that, and there was like a 10-second bit of cloud that allowed me to get a picture of a post box, which I was happy about, because it was a sunny day there as well, because every day is sunny. When I was walking out the Kingscliff, the old granny, the people in their cars, all looking at me, all thinking I'm surveying, roughly 50 people giving me threats until I reached the main road to get the bus back into Taunton. When I got the bus to Taunton, there was a couple of people on the bus mistaking me as surveying and photographing me, giving me trouble. Got off the bus at the bottom part of Taunton. When I got off the bus, 3 people were mistaking me as surveying, and a person shouting out a window thinking I was surveying, with the usual regular threats to take my life, or to beat me up, or to take my life nastily with a weapon or whatever, or on sexuality or whatever else. Went to Lidl's. There were 6 threats in Lidl's. I couldn't escape that. All mistaking me as surveying. So when I left Lidl's, someone in the car shouted at me saying that I'm surveying, photographing me and saying that you're being shot dead and you're fucking being beat up and whatever, saying you're sick. If I ever fucking catch you, I'll fucking break your own arms and legs, that sort of stuff. Then there was another 2 cars that shouted at me. There was a third person in a car that just photographed me, or looked like he's photographing me when I was at the bus stop. 4 people passed me at the bus stop. They were starting on me thinking I was surveying, and some teenagers, roughly about 15, on bikes, were also saying a few things as they passed, though it was mostly mild stuff that they were saying, but they were mistaking me as surveying as well, saying I'm a dangerous rapist. When I get on the bus to go back to Yeovil, there's 2 people on the back of the bus that are photographing me and filming me, but I have to sit at the front of the bus, right at the front of the bus, because the bus is completely packed. All the buses are packed, and it's hard to find a seat unless there's seats that overhang the person's head where you can sit in front of someone, because they just aimlessly sneeze and cough at you. And this is why I'm getting colds and flus and whatever, because people just are not clean anymore. They're just aimlessly doing it. You go in the street, they just aimlessly cough and sneeze in your face. 2022, almost every single day between January and September, there's at least 40 people per day trying to sneeze in my face, and the figure sometimes went up to in the 200 area, alongside the threats, which are also along that area as well. It's a record-breaking year for direct threats made at me, mistaking me as surveying, and people photographing me, because that was in the hundreds on some days. Even when I went to Weymouth and Portland to camp, because I'm being mistaken as a surveying, you see, and people are just photographing me every day. And the amount of people that are photographing me, 2022 is a record-breaking year for people sneezing in my face, people photographing me, and for threats. Out of every year in my life that I've lived. I mean, you've had the shouting from the Palace nightclub, you've had many threats that have occurred in one section when I was getting the Jungle Justin threats, but as far as what I'm mentioning now, as far as the surveying threat goes, and you also got to take into account that I haven't been to Weymouth for about 20 years, and when I went there, the threats are off the scale. You know, the very first time I went to Weymouth on the train, I went with a staff member called Helen, which I just mentioned earlier, which is there's only one threat that occurred, and that's a youth saying he looks like a child rapist, surveying. That was it. No other threat. When I went on my own the second time, it all kicked off. I was getting in trouble on the train, being mistaken as surveying, people getting argumental, and even this lady that looks like a dog but is sexy looking and is 1 year older than me, I believe. She might remember me, I don't know, but she didn't say nothing. I had to avoid her, where I knew at Yeovil College in 1996 area. And I have spoken, but I can't remember what her name is. I think she has a sister called Gemma that's skinnier and looks older, has a more wrinkly sort of skin than what she had, because she's sort of one of those that's very sexual and still holds that sexual appearance now, at 43, 44 now, whatever she is. obviously she's going to be going into negative attraction very shortly, and it's going to be too late for that as well. But it is too late for that, because the next time I see her, her boyfriend's telling me I'm a sick cunt, thinking I'm Seven, which happened in the same year, but a lot later in the year, or the very start of the following year, and I haven't seen her since. Not that specific person. Anyway, back to the issue of what I was mentioning. Add that to all the threats that I've had, and add that to the problems, and that might explain why I'm getting nasty on these recordings, and why I'm starting to get a bit nasty when people start on me, and why I'm shouting on these videos, won't it? Maybe that'll explain it all. Because people have been saying I'm screwball and all the rest of it. I mean, jumping out the way, people sneezing in my face, I'm being told I'm a fucking screwball. Look at them saying, yeah, but you don't want to have fucking sneeze in your face. People are fucked up. They're stupid. So, yeah, not good at all. Anyway, when I got off the bus from Taunton, after that camping trip, walked home, there was just 2 threats and a load of setups, because the setups were quite heavy as well, especially at North Petherton. They're more heavy at North Petherton than they were at Barrow and Burnham-on-Sea, believe it or not. Just aggressive, nasty setups. Basically telling me I'm going to be knifed down, ripped to pieces, bashed to fucking pieces, ripped apart, fucking life taken. Just nailing me as a rapist, basically, without verifying the facts. They don't have any idea. The people that are setting this up have had no idea what's happened to me in my past. They have no idea of what I've been through. They have no idea of the truth. They're just twisting it, and it's coming back at me nastily and violently with these setups of whatever the organisation is that's setting it up, whether it's the FBI, CIA, military, mafia, the Illuminati, the elite, I don't know. Whoever's setting it up are not going by the statistics of accuracy. They're going by what's been twisted and is coming back at me violently. They may even be doing it at another person, but it's coming back at me. So maybe it's been twisted in Houses of Parliament, 10 Downing Street, I don't know. Whatever's causing it, these bastards are getting really nasty about it. The nastiness of these setups since the lockdown, it's been nastiest it's ever been. Right, next thing I was going to mention is these sun curses. And this Laura, this Lauren, or Laura, or whatever her name is, she's very similar looking to Britney Spears, but more of a sort of outward face, sort of a sexual outward face. It's hard to explain. And slightly smooth skin, but not as a model looking, if you know what I mean. Darker hair, so not blonde as such, sort of kind of brunette in some ways, but very sexual. It's hard to describe what she looks like. Now, she smiled at me and said, on 2 occasions, knew I was single, and sort of made the suggestion that, she knows what I want. And I believe she's slightly older than what she looks. So at the time she would have been about, I guess she would have been about 30, I don't know. It's just a guess. I would have been something like, you might be, yeah, she might have been. I would have been about 30, mid-30s, something like that. I can't remember what age I was. But she does look like she's only in her 20s, early 20s. But you know that she's older because, but anyway, she doesn't like me. Initially, this Liam stuff came in, and I can't remember what happened there. I need to look on my life story packs for that. Well, that didn't really affect her too much. She still sort of smiled to some extent when she saw me, and sort of, as soon as that Seven threat came in, that's when she turned, and the whole lot of them turned. And then obviously I was walking into mostly a Lisa Pike lookalike in there, who's about 10 years older than me, and just as negative looking as that Lisa Pike. And I rarely saw her at all, and when I did see her, that's it, she didn't like me, she turned. Later on, I find out that she's in a relationship with someone called Michael, who's roughly my age or a bit older. And then 1 year later, 2 years later, after not seeing her for some time, she's a single mother with 2 ginger-haired children. So, and then obviously, now the times have changed, and I'm mistaken as that Seven. When I see her with her Michael, I'm actually being told I'm a sick cunt. I say, you get a look away right now, or I'll fucking bash your fucking teeth in, you fucking rapist. Being mistaken as Seven, so yeah. Anyway, this continues because that's got to be replaced, but it can't be replaced, it's too late. As I said earlier, I've been sexually hanged, crucified sexually. There's nothing I can do about it, I'm too old. No one's going to allow the age gap. Everyone's a single mother. Everyone's very used. Everyone's very stale. Nothing I can do. But anyway, there's a painting that I saw at Yangdals at Martok. At the time I didn't take much notice of the painting, and it showed a picture of this Lauren lookalike, or Laura lookalike, this sexy Laura, because there's two Lauras at work in there. There's one that looks like Lisa Pike, who's 10 years older, it's very ugly, and then you've got the sexual one as well. Well, this sexual Laura is actually shining the sun onto this boy that's holding a torch and a word pad with a bag around his shoulders down a path similar to what I'm walking down now, where this boy is being cursed with his son. But he's being cursed in a sexual way. So it's basically applying the painting, well, it's actually a postcard, but it's a painting that's been transferred onto a postcard, this lady, who's called Lauren, is here, is around you, and eventually you can have sex with that lady. That's what basically this painting is suggesting. So it's gone against me, because I'm one of those that doesn't like the sun, and every time I go out, as I've been mentioning, there's only been 4 3/4 cloudy rainy days since June. Otherwise every single day since June 2023 to Boxing Day December 2023 has been sunny. You've had about 300 or 400 torrential rainstorms lasting anything from a few seconds to 2 hours, but most are less than 45 minutes or even 20 minutes. You've had about 200 cloud covers, which has roughly occupied a section of couple of hours, roughly, and no more than a couple of hours. Maybe it's 300 cloud covers, I'm not sure, but it's definitely not many, it's just for a few seconds, 15 seconds or whatever. I mean, in some ways you calculate that. I was walking through the Kingscliff woodland, that 15 minutes. That's sort of a rainy sort of cloud, so I don't know whether you can actually calculate that as being part of the cloud, but either way, that 15 minutes is not going to make any difference. And then you had that bit of cloud at Bruton as well. Again, it's because it's rainy, it's not really, can't really classify it as a cloud cover as such, because it's sort of sunny when it's raining at the same time. It's like that, just to cut a long story short. But anyway, I'm being cursed with the sun. So recently what they've done is they started getting sly about it. They've timed this Laura lookalike, but they've timed someone who's about 20 years or 15 years younger than this Laura, what she'd be now, but less attractive and less of a smoother, so that this person that I seen doesn't have the smooth skin Lauren had, but is a lookalike to this Lauren, near enough, that worked at Tesco's when I was at Norton Southampton doing a walk recently, in the last couple of months, where she was wearing a t-shirt saying no sex, and they deliberately brought the sun out or something like that, and they did something else, and they messed up after that. I can't remember what it was, but it's to apply that on sexuality. If the sun keeps on coming out, then God's going to treat you with sex that you've never had all your life with someone else like Lauren. The following day, they caused the sun to come out and nailed me as a sick bastard, telling me I'm not going to have sex with sellers while beaming the sun down on me in a violative way. And ever since that day, it's been the same right through, right till now. So that's where it goes with the sun issue. How has Christmas worked? Well, obviously the loud bike time to an erection's very bad. However, if we go back to earlier in the year, between the 7th of May 2023, for several months, there's literally no less on most days than 700 loud bikes tied to an erection every single day, and 400 very rarely, no more than 3 or 4 times in a matter of 8 weeks, something like that. And most days you're reaching up to 1,000 loud bikes to an erection as well, especially at the weekends. That's a record-breaking amount of time in a loud bike to an erection in my whole life. Even when I was moaning about it at my old place, and when the police were discussing the issue, because I wanted to try and make an arrest on something because it contained that issue which I posted to 10 Downing Street, moaning about loud bikes tied to erections, and they just left it because of that issue. Anyway, let's talk about Barrack, because Barrack's a regular place that I walk on a regular basis. I'm currently at the Jack the Treacle Eater, which is a building next to a mansion house. But there's a little pathway where you can do a walk there, and sometimes I go up there, and there's a tree falling down, meaning that I can't get through unless you go into the field, which is not a problem. So you can do that, it's quite accessible. But if it was fully grown up there, or it wasn't cut down, you wouldn't be able to do that. The next problem is where I used to do all the phone calls, phoning people, the field above the graveyard at St Mary Magdalene Church at Barwick, they've made it private. So any walks you do now, which is eliminated. So I'm not very happy about that. And the next thing I've discovered over Christmas is down at Flushing Meadow and Penmill Station. At Penmill Railway Station on Christmas Day, it was nice and cloudy to some extent, and I wanted to try and take a picture of a very old gas lantern that's designated on the railway track. I took a picture of it last year, so I do actually have a picture, so it's not too much of a problem, but I wanted to try and better the picture. But unfortunately there's workers there this year on Christmas Day. The other light I wanted to take a picture of, which is on the sewage plant down at Flushing Meadow in Yeovil, I couldn't take a picture of it. I went to take a picture of it last year, and there was a modern van blocking me from photographing it properly, and I couldn't get the picture properly. So I got a picture. It's not the best picture, and I've had to keep that picture because you won't be able to get it again, because this year it's been taken down because they put a new building in there. Next thing is another street light I wanted to take a picture of, preferably not broken. The swan neck piece has decided to snap off, and it now looks like it's half broken. It's just laying with the Thorn Beta 5 SOX street light 35 watt bulb case on the end of it. That's it. It does look nice, even though it's broken. I took a picture of it. Obviously there's a bit of blue sky in the background, there's nothing I can do about it, but every day's sunny, you see, most days. That sun curse. But that Laura hasn't come, has she, or Lauren, or whatever it is. So that's Christmas. When we move on to Christmas Boxing Day, this is when everything starts to go back to normal. So all the threats are on the increase, as I mentioned earlier on, and it's as nasty as what it is on a normal day, including the threats going out. However, the threats I had yesterday evening on Christmas Day, on the second time I went out of the 3 times I went out, was very bad, considering it's Christmas Day. And then obviously today has not been quite so bad because of that specific time out, but there has been a lot of people start on me, especially when I went out on the first time I went out to Flushing Meadow for just a general walk today. So everything's not good. And also there's been a new threat. This occurred on Christmas Day, and it sounded like 50-50. You have 50 days to live before you're fucking being smashed in and fucking shot dead because you're a child rapist said. And then obviously, believe it or not, and I'm not making this up, but someone today said there's 49 days left. Everyone's going to be kicking off in those 49 days before you're dead. Now I don't exactly know what's happening in 49 days, but I guess it takes you to somewhere like the end of January, beginning of February, whatever. But whatever it is, these people are not very bloody happy with me at the moment. So like I say, I don't know what this year is going to be like, but setups have warned me that things are going to get nasty this year, so I'm not very happy about it. I will mention something. This is regards dating, some form of dating. New Year's Eve at 23:59 p.m. last year, a Ukraine woman moaned about my age because she was in her 20s, and I was chatting to her, not as in like a sexual relationship, just chatting because she knew English language, and she just basically nailed me as sick. And as we come into New Year's Day, as everyone are throwing threats at me outside saying I'm a rapist and being shot dead, being injected with HIV, or going to lose my life, or going to smash me in, or fucking do this, but all shouting it aggressively, not nicely, and this is done in a mass of people outside. This is when the woman turned against me, so that's the start of the new year of last year. I'm not sure what this year is going to be like, but that was the start of 22 into 23. So just thought I'd mention that. On the 12th of December 2023, I had a clairvoyant reading from a photograph that I gave on eBay to Supernatural Samantha. She did it for a tarot psychic reading, and it's a love and companionship reading that I went for because I was just interested to see what she would come up with. Well, she said something's going to happen right now. She believes that whatever's going to occur is going to happen now. At the time that I had that reading, there's no change in my life whatsoever. It's the same problems, the same daily routine, and the same negative outbreak of whatever is occurring in my direction. And it's the same now, so I'm not exactly sure how things are going to change or if she's got the reading right, but nothing's happened yet. Not if it's imminent. Or she said, well, that's basically what she said. It's basically imminent now. Right, I just want to mention Gemma Ferguson a minute, because this is an interesting story. She believes, or there's been some stories that she remembers me from West Street before I moved to Burnham-on-Sea, or has some knowledge of me being at Bridgewater West Street. She's been in sexual relationships, obviously. Someone called Ashley Palmer and whatever, and he's someone that mistakes me as Savannah, or has since 2016 area. And I've had trouble here and there when I've gone to that shop. I sort of mainly, very rarely went in that shop, and I've sort of avoided that shop, and I've seen Gemma on a couple of occasions. One, I was hiding some food out, claiming that I was digging for bait, and she laughed and said, "Don't fall down there, will you?" That was when she first spoke to me and had a joke with me when I first started to know her. And then when I saw her on a frequent basis, she started saying alright and hello after I sort of... And then we went into the first lockdown. Although most days she just walked past, she did get to a stage where she was saying alright, or speaking and saying alright or whatever. These batteries keep going flat. Anyway, so yeah, Gemma was basically speaking in the lockdown, and quite frequently. And then sort of we came out of the lockdown. She's still okay to some extent. There were days where she had off days and say nothing at all. And there's also another person that has the same name that looks very similar to her, but more negative looking, and is someone who's a single mother, that was also saying alright as well. When we get past that, after the lockdown, things started to turn a bit more sinister, though she still spoke. There were days where she'd make a remark or say this, and then other days she'd be okay, or not speak at all. And it was like that. So I sort of left it and just sort of waited until the time come when things were a bit better. When we got into the second lockdown, she was sort of in between. It wasn't as good as the lockdown. The first lockdown, she rarely spoke. But come the very final stage of when I was just before I moved to Yeovil, she did actually say alright again, and that's the last time I actually was alright. So I decided to go, when I moved into Yeovil, I decided to leave a piece of paper in the workplace saying this is for Gemma, just to see if she wants to meet up for like a coffee or something like that, because obviously there's nobody single, you see. You've got to, and being the oldest possible person that you can get that's still single and not a single mother, I thought, well, why not try, just not get too bad with it. I showed Helen Lewis the letter, and she said there's nothing wrong with what you put there. She said, give it a try, if you know her. Well, I didn't really know her that well, but I did know her to some extent of what I just said. Well, she phoned up that evening. Oh, no, sorry. Was it a couple of days later, when I left it there? And she said, don't you ever fucking come into my workplace leaving any fucking letters asking to say that you want to have a marriage with me, or you want to have sex with me, or say you want to meet up or go for a coffee. Saying, I don't even fucking know you. He said, is your name Justin to start with, by the way? And she got aggressive on the phone. I can't remember what number it was on my phone. It might have been my 07818152881 number in about the March area of February 2022. Anyway, she said, you won't want to start on fucking Arkansas, my enemies, they'll fucking kill you, you don't know what I got on my side, and started just going on like that, very aggressively, very nastily, shouting down the phone, and saying that you won't be alive anymore, sort of thing. So, I left it at that, and I thought, that's going to cause trouble. At the same time, I was sort of messaging a couple of people on Facebook. So there's Amanda Millis. I just fancied messaging. I had a couple of beers, so I was a bit tipsy, maybe a bit pissed, I don't know, can't remember what I was drinking at the time. And I was just bored, and I just fancied chatting to people that I've none of these sort of people replied. But there has been some suggestions and other things that have been mentioned, like Kimberly Hobbs, Amanda Millis, who are Sadie Dando's friends. The Dandos have warned me actually not to have any communication with those people. When I was speaking to Chris at Asda just in earlier this year, when I took a visit to Bridgewater. But there was anyway, come March or April, and it could be connected to Gemma, it could be connected to another person or somebody else. But whoever it is wanted to have me knifed down on a railway track at Highbridge, saying that I'm thinking I was Savannah and a rapist. It could even be connected to that Jeanette prostitute that tried scamming me, who had 800 quid out of me nearly, give or take a few pounds, just to basically get money for the old neighbour to move out and the new neighbour to move in. And according to one of the neighbours at my old place, I won't drop names into it because I don't want to cause trouble, because I left on a happy note, but it could be the cause of my ex-mugger Dan Morgan that's caused it. That's what they think. Or Dan, the neighbour that lived there before he moved out. But I don't actually know if that's the neighbour's name, but that's what they said the neighbour's name is. So that could be the reason for the problem that occurred. Anyway, I've stopped having communication with anybody from there, and I did see her again on the beach as the threats were occurring at that time. And she was sort of looking to go into the sand dunes for some reason, but it's definitely not because of me, because she's looked away from me and avoided me, and she was wearing sort of kitchen clothes like a waitress would wear when she, and it just appeared to me very odd. I got photographic evidence of this, of the day setups of when I was on camping trip at that time. So, and I have been told that in threats that she's only 31 years of age and I'm a sick bastard if I fancy her because I'm 43. So that occurs as well. Because like I said, any more than a couple of years difference in age, they got you down as a sick bastard. So when it goes back to the story I was mentioning a bit earlier, that's what I mean when it comes to sexuality. Christ has fallen against me, there's nothing you can do about it, it's too late to do anything. You need to be dead first before you can do anything and be born again, and then that's sexual murder. And then once you're dead, that's the biggest mistake Christ has ever done, but there's nothing you can do about it. So, that's that. I just want to talk about jungle music, basically. Jungle music of how you would have heard it on the mixtapes in the 1990s. Quite literally all of it, and I mean all of it, not just some of it, quite literally all of it is banned. You're not going to get any of it at all. Because a lot of it's very deep and mystical, with dark sounding tracks as well, all that stuff's gone. The only stuff you're going to get now is what sounds very shallow and very chart music sounding, with a lot of reggae or ragga influences and gangster talk. They are only allowing that type of jungle to be released. So anything that's more different than that, anything that's dark, anything that's mystical, anything that's deep, anything that's ambient, anything that sounds chilled out with heavy bass line that's deep, the whole lot's gone. Literally the whole lot. They've even targeted Omni Trio, Renegade Snares, Foul Play Remix, Pesce, the piano tune, PFM, the western tune, Nasty Habits, or Doc Scott, a track called Here Comes the Drums. They've targeted Deep Blue, the helicopter tune. They've targeted Dead Dread, Dread Bass, and they targeted many other tracks. And you've got to take into account these are the commercial tracks that they're targeting, not the underground tracks. So if they're targeting them, you can see that there's going to be no jungle at all in the future unless it's reggae influenced heavily or ragga sounding with a shallow backing sound effect. So yeah, my music's gone, completely gone. There's only one track that they can release, or one track, and I think they've done this by accident, and it's on Square Pushers Feed Me Weird Things reissue 25th anniversary edition. Track 2 on that album's called Tundra, and that's like an underground, dark, creepy, airy, deep, heavy jungle track of how jungle sounded back in the mid-90s or early 90s. They've made that, I think they've done that by mistake, but that mistake just shows that you've got one track that's rescued, but that's just one track out of many that are completely lost. I mean, the DATs are gone, the recordings are gone, the record companies have gone under. Initially they went into merchandise places, then they went into selling dub music instead because they couldn't sell the original stuff. The tape packs, they've had to eliminate what they put on tape packs. DJs can't mix the tunes they want to mix anymore. They can only put jump up drum and bass tracks on there. They can't put jungle tracks with the aim and break on there anymore. You had like North, West Fest. I mean, all these sort of new rave events. Any track that they want players all has to be within borderlines. But now, because the restrictions are so heavy and so hard, it's affected basically every single track that I'm into, or every single track that I like if it's in the jungle scene. But like I said, we are in a different time. Music has to change with the times. So it does make sense in some ways. It does make sense that music has to change. But it's just a shame that if you're into that older type of music, that it's being targeted. And they even targeted commercial tracks like Ultravox, Vienna, the Hollies, The Air That I Breathe, the Moody Blues, Nights in White Satin, the Beach Boys, God Only Knows, the Stranglers, Golden Brown, Godley and Cream, Under Your Thumb, the Specials, Ghost Town, what else? Peaches and Herb, Reunited, Brian and Michael, Matchstalk Men and Matchstalk Cats and Dogs. Even those tracks are being targeted. They're trying to do away with all those, you see. They're trying to change the mindset into a more sort of different style, so the music's less deep. But, you know, because music sounds old, that is old, is not going in favour with today's, how do I word it? You're not keeping up with the times if you like that, and it's not going to sound right in the times. So when it comes to all this old music, regardless of what it is, because jungle's probably the raviest music you can get that's old people's music, because jungle came out before happy hardcore came in. So jungle, I think, is what they see as being the last of normal music before it went into rave, basically. You did have the rave on Cookie Jar Records in 1992, all the stuff that came out in that time. But initially, logically, jungle was the last genre before proper rave music developed. Even though jungle did have some ravey type tracks in the illegal rave scene back at that time. But it's a different layout today. I'm referring to like the BT music, but it's a bit like if you go to the 1960s, they say they're going to a rave. They were listening to guitar music at a rave in the 60s. The 90s would have been jungle, the early 90s. Well, today that would just be seen as an ordinary music like reggae. Jungle's is no longer in the rave scene. Jungle's separated from the rave scene. You've got drum and bass, which developed from jungle, but jungle's not actually rave music. It's been taken out of the rave scene. It's the same as, you know, like rock in the 60s, that's been taken out of the rave scene. So it does just show that the times have moved on. I mean, it's 30 years ago when jungle was in the streets, you know, and that's a very long time ago. So it does have its bad impact, you know, on people that like that sort of music. But, you know, you can still get second-hand copies here and there, but it can be very expensive. So, you know, as I was saying, I have managed to rescue 36 tracks in total from the ones I lost before I got rid of all my discs and gave them to a neighbour called Mark, because I let him have the originals. But I had to make sure that I did 6 copies, mind, on disc, and back it up on 4 hard drives before I did give him all those discs. And luckily I did those 6 copies and they are safe. So that is it. Another thing that hit me in November of 2023 was me paying for online storage to keep all my documentation on the internet. Unfortunately, there's stuff that I was putting on there that they weren't happy with, and they just closed my account and refunded me. So when you're putting stuff online, be careful. And on the free account that I was using a couple of years before, I noticed that some of the files went corrupt. And this is why I always say I prefer to use discs rather than storing anything online because of this issue. Right, when it comes to storage, hard drives have seen me out the safest as an electronic storage device. Throughout my time, there's only ever been 2 hard drives that I've actually played up, where I've actually had to basically do away with them. One of them is because it's old anyway, but I was never usually leaving them in the computer or whatever. It's just mainly to save stuff on them and then put them aside. So they never really did mess up. When it comes to USB sticks, initially I didn't get too many problems with USB sticks, but then you had the Orange MTech USB sticks that caused me to lose almost half of my vinyl that I took off back in the old 2009 area. And I never retook it off because I got rid of all my records to Lewis, who is an internet friend that I became friends with before he fell out in 2015, 2016 area. Just as a Savem threat came in, basically. Anyway, take those Orange MTech USB sticks away. There's not really been much in the way of USB sticks messing up that often until July of 2023 this year, where I lost just under 20 years of data on 18 USB sticks. So there's 9 of each. There's 9 with a quantity of one section of stuff, and then 9 of a filled up 64 gigabyte. I took it into the computer shop to rescue the data, but because they were selling these as false 64 gigabyte USB sticks, which could only hold a capacity of roughly a gigabyte, means that they were selling them off at a quarter of the price, trying to stretch the capacity to hold 60 plus times more than it can hold, and diddling you basically, so ripping you off. So as someone that's trying to make money putting cheap USB chips in big name USB sticks, selling them off on eBay to try and make money out of people. So that's what happened, and obviously because the data crushed into itself, it can't be extracted. The data is completely corrupt. So he did make a charge, but he only charged me a section of what he would have usually charged to sort this out. He told me to use just hard drives. He said it's easier to extract the information. I did initially know that. So when it comes to electronics, hard drives I've only ever had 2 pack up. USB sticks I've had loads pack up throughout my time. It wouldn't surprise me if we hit the sort of 50 area maybe, or even more than that. It wouldn't surprise me if you consider all the USB sticks I've had through my time in the last 20 years. But the one that hits it mostly is the SD card, or the micro SD card. Every couple of months, if that, I'm always having to replace my SD cards because they always seem to be messing up in the camera. So I don't know why that is, but that seems to be one of the most frequent electronic storage devices that I have to keep replacing on a regular basis. When it comes to DVDs, when they get very cold or damp, you get ring sort of like circles that occur in the disc, like bubbles, and then the DVD sometimes will be playable, sometimes will just completely fuck up. With a compact disc, unless the disc has got really scratched, or whether there's another issue, I don't think I've had more than 2 CDs that have actually fucked up in my whole life, not when it comes to a CD. However, I have heard that people have had these Woolworths discs, which is the Superstore Woolworths before it closed down, and apparently they just fuck up for a pastime, so they must have been using a different layer inside the disc. When it comes to the Blu-ray discs, I've never actually used a Blu-ray disc, but I have used an M disc. I've never had an M disc mess up. So, never. And that'd probably be my bestest solution for saving my stuff for permanent storage overall. So, yeah. The 6 discs I done with those 36 of my favourite tracks, jungle tracks that I have rescued, and a couple of others to make it to 40. It might have been under 36, I can't remember, but it was something like that. And then obviously I filled the rest with a couple of dark ambient tracks. They're actually done on M discs. So I did 6 M discs at the early part of this year. So obviously with all that money that I mentioned, because of banging and whatever in the building, It's just in a mad rush to get them all done, because there was errors with the ones that I was recording. I had to chuck them all out, and also because of the banging that stopped me from recording them. It's the worstest nightmare ever, as I just mentioned earlier on in this video. But I do have 6 copies of the latest, which I said is the rescued tracks, which I managed to do in the can't remember when I did them now, but this year, some point this year. So then obviously we had the 4 hard drives I bought, and I put them on there as well. Obviously it's online as well, so I've put it on cloud storage, but like I said, when I've used cloud storage before, they've shut me off when I put documentation on there, even with me making a debit card payment. So it's not always guaranteed online. If I was to say what I'd prefer out of all storage formats, hard drive for convenience and keeping stuff on there temporarily for a few years before making a transfer. But when it comes to audio files, the problem is after a time the quality will reduce on a hard drive, and you get that sort of muffled sound or whatever. You won't get that high pass. It won't sound as, the depth control won't be as clear as what it usually is or what it was before, when you originally put it on there. With a compact disc, especially the M disc or CD, not a DVD, the likelihood is it will last out a long time. M discs are quite expensive to buy, and I don't actually think they make them anymore. I'm not sure, and I think they discontinued CDs and DVDs, which is not very helpful for those who prefer to use discs. But we are in a different time, and the time I got left before my life ends, and the way I'm being treated at the moment, I don't think it really matters, to be fair. So I tend to keep everything on hard drive and do a transfer every 5 years or 4 years. And obviously you're not going to get too much of a quality loss doing just one transfer, not from a hard drive, because a hard drive is quite is a very strong, device that holds data. So, but that's that. If you're transferring audio to a USB stick, straight away you will notice that the bass in the music will drop rapidly from the original hard drive saved destination to the USB stick. You will know a drop, quality loss straight away. I remember when I was doing it, when I was ripping my records many years ago, before my records went, and we had issues or whatever I mentioned in this recording. But this day and age, to cheaply and safely keep your music safe, I recommend either the original compact disc, just get a good name compact disc, or there's an M disc is a bit more expensive, quite a lot more expensive. An M disc, it does just the same, but there's no guarantee that there be any disk drives in the future, because they stopped making disk drives in laptops and these sorts of things. So it's hard to say, to be honest. I'd probably stick with hard drive. Just stick with hard drive. So if you've got any data or music that you need to keep safe, stick it to hard drives, but make a transfer. Say, don't keep it on a hard drive more than, say, 2.5 years, and then transfer it to another hard drive, a newer hard drive, if it's critical data or audio files that you're backing up, because otherwise the data quality will drop in audio files. You might get away with 3 years. Depends what make the drive is. It depends on the drive, but obviously you've got online storage as well, but audio files tend to sound tingy and foily. That's just a description I use for like crappy YouTube quality. You might not be so bad from the transfer online as you'd get on YouTube, but if you were to do some professional editing with that track, or mess about with the levels, then you would notice that the transfer process between online or download is definitely quality corrupt, lost. Right, there is conspiracy about these M discs on the internet. Now, whether this is true, I'll leave this for you to decide. My own opinion is I don't believe the crap that's on the internet, but some people claim that if you change the temperature of where you store the M disc after a couple of years, just various temperatures, damp conditions or whatever, they claim that the rock layer that's in the disc that holds the data causes the actual to crumble inside the disc. And the other thing is they claim that the when the adhesive layer stretches between temperature changes, that being rock, that the stretch causes the disc layer to crack because it has no flexibility. And the third thing they say is that burning a disc, because of the toxicity, affects children and babies. Now, like I said, I don't believe that nonsense, but that's one of the excuses they are coming up with when it comes to this M disc. I've never had any problems with M discs, but I have had to change my formats, and I'm going to give you the reasons why. Obviously, they no longer manufacture M discs, and the price of an M disc has gone sky high. There's a website called onyourmdiscforever.com that used to actually provide some M discs pretty cheap, but back in the time that I was buying them, I didn't actually know they were discontinued and that the price has tripled, or if not 4 times more expensive than what they used to be. But I don't think they discontinued them just for that reason, because they've also discontinued Blu-ray discs and CDs and DVDs. I think it's the change of technology that we're heading towards. Right, we'll get with that now. When it comes to the technology of hard drives, it's getting a lot better, because I was speaking to my brother recently, and not too recently, and he was saying that the modern hard drives hold data a lot more much more clearer, and a lot more has much more stability to it, and you don't lose there's no quality loss on audio files like on the earlier hard drives or older hard drives, which is good news. So obviously I haven't come to those hard drives yet, but at least I do have some new good make hard drives to see me a couple of years until I can find out what hard drives they are before I make a transfer. And once I make a transfer, I won't need to worry about that for about 10 years, because apparently these hard drives that my brother's on about are very good hard drives. So that's good news. Also, when it comes to download quality and uploads, I quite often moan about the quality being very foily and tingy as my explanation of how I describe a crappy YouTube video that sounds a bit crappy, where obviously the internet's improving on those sorts of with the stability of whatever, and it does sound better, but I still not fully impressed at this minute in time, though I might give it another try and see what it's like, and then give you a documentary of that next time I mention it. In general, the quality of a CD when it comes from a hard drive straight to a disc, as with any when it comes to a hard drive, you're going to get next to no quality loss at all within a transfer situation. Hardly no loss of quality. So when it comes to USB sticks, you do. Micro SD cards are even worse. When you burn a DVD, that's pretty poor as well, actually. The DVD, there's at least a 30% loss of recording quality. When it comes to a CD, it's pretty much similar to the original disc. A little bit off, nothing too drastic. With an M disc, it's also a little bit off, but I think this could be due to the transfer laser, you know, when you're doing it. So there's always going to be a loss at some point, even if it's only a little bit of a loss, regardless of what format it is, whether it's hard drive, CD or DVD or whatever. But now we're in a different time. If I can get hold of those quality hard drives eventually, which I won't be buying until I move from where I'm living, but because they're new hard drives, they last a couple of years anyway, and hopefully in a couple of years or so I'll be able to move from where I am, and then put it all straight to a normal, you know, you can put it online as well, but yeah, it's difficult. It puts you in a situation, you know, I did prefer discs. For many, many years, CDs were probably my favourite. Although you couldn't fit much on a CD, and it's usually audio files, I'd probably say CD is one of my favourite formats before the M-Disc came in. But then you've got the SSD as well, which is basically a higher capacity storage built in the same way as a USB stick. But if you consider USB sticks breaking all the time, I don't know, I'm not very up with it on the technology side, but got any interesting information, and let me know. Right, as you can hear, that road is as busy as what it was earlier. So yeah, obviously it's back to normal. Boxing Day, and initially I wasn't going to go up here for a walk today, but we're not going to be able to get out tomorrow because we've got torrential rain tomorrow, and then obviously that, which is not helpful because there's a specific photo I wanted to take a picture of tomorrow, which meant getting a bus to somewhere local to take the picture. It was of a fire beacon that charred, but the weather is going to be torrential rain followed by blue skies and sunshine. And going on, can't we, with these curses of bloody. I give up, but eventually I'm going to get a picture of that. And something I will mention is the 58 bus, which is the Wincanton bus, and the Y something bus, is it the Y4, that goes to Blandford from Yeovil. I think both of them are being cancelled, which means anyone that wants to go to Sherborne after March next year are not going to be able to get there again using public transport, because they're not replacing it with a new service, they're just taking it off because of lack of funding. So that's a bit of an irritation, but then again, on the build up to Christmas when I went to Sherborne, the amount of people that were mistaking me as Savannah and the amount of threats that I was getting was just incredible. I was losing my temper over it. So, I don't know.